This is the MediaWorks video software series. I am Scott, a media specialist in MediaWorks, and this continues the series we've been working on regarding the software Audacity, which is an audio editing software. This episode of our software series is going to introduce basic editing using the selection tool. A bit of background. Most audio projects require some amount of editing to be polished. This can include the removal of unwanted time gaps, removing narrations that were a mistake, and other time-based corrections. For this demonstration, I'm going to play the audio we are working on, which you can see here previously recorded on the Audacity timeline, which has a deliberate mistake in it we will correct as well, so we can hear and see the connection between changes on the timeline and our actual audio. A useful keyboard shortcut for this function is the space bar on the keyboard, which toggles play and stop in Audacity. You won't see me use the mouse for this function and go up here, for instance, on the transport controls, but you will see the playhead move and stop and hear the audio. I draw your attention to, again, this horizontal line of Audacity here and the second section here of 6 icons representing 6 different tools. We're using the selection tool for this demonstration. The selection tool allows us to isolate a highlighted passage of audio in the waveform to remove or change that section. First of all, I want to play the audio we have recorded. BCIT is committed to creating a successful environment for learning. Policies create the framework in which the institution operates and set out expectations and guidelines for behavior and action in specific areas. I also want to draw your attention visually to the waveform we are looking at on the timeline. You see a large gap of a few seconds at the beginning and the end of the audio. We're also going to use the highlight tool to repair that condition. We're going to left click after having selected the selection tool and drag to clean up the beginning. So let's try that right in the track here. Now you see in the selection I made, indicated by the white area, that a bit of the waveform has been selected. If I'm trying to get rid of the gap, we have to adjust that. There's no need to make a whole new selection. Holding down Shift key allows us to, you can see here again, we're left clicking with the mouse, allows us to adjust that. So I've made my selection. I want to get rid of that part. I go up under Edit, and you see here Cut and Delete. There's also a keyboard shortcut. And in fact, the delete key would also do the same thing. We'll just hit cut. Look what happened. We've lost the time at the beginning. It's much tighter now. Hitting play. BCIT is committed. It starts right away. So we did that by removing the pause. We can do the same thing to remove the end here. And I'll just hit the delete key this time. I won't go up into the edit menu. Once a selection is made, the tools of the edit menu come into play. You heard in the audio that I made a mistake and repeated myself. Let's find that section. Operates and set out expectations and guidelines. It's pretty obvious that that mistake is right here in the center of the waveform. Going to the edit menu, we can get into some other tools that's offered to us. We know cut and delete, and in this case, that would be what we'd want to do. I encourage you to try these other ones. Copy, paste, duplicate would put it on a different track. Remove special is kind of interesting. What is a split cut? I'll show you. It's the best way to describe it. So here, the audio still plays. Create the framework in which the institution operates and set out expectations. And we have a section that's kept the timing of our track about 15 seconds as we see here, but it's removed that part. And that can be important to you depending on your project. I'll get us back to normal by using undo, and I'll just click elsewhere to remove that selection. All of the options are useful. Silencing audio is also useful. Again, it's going to edit, remove special, silence audio. There you go. It's going to keep the timing. Let's try this one. Remove special, trim audio. Notice that it actually inverted our selection, and all we kept was the part we'd selected. That can be useful as well depending on how you're using the selection tool. Here I hit delete. It moves it over now. It's not a 15-second file, and we can listen and see if that plays nicely. Policies create the framework in which the institution operates and set out expectations and guidelines. Sounds like nothing was ever there. That concludes this episode of Audacity using the selection tool.